going? Why don't you go ahead and record? Yeah? Okay, very good. My name is Judge Hoyt. Good morning. First thing we're going to do is we're going to call the case. Then I'll have counsel declare who you are for the record. Do we have defendants or counsel for defendants here today? If you are named as a defendant, raise your hand, please. As a defendant. Not part of the legislative, part of the executive. Who was that again? Very good. Any of you have counsel?
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
Where's your counsel? Your counsel?
If I may, Judge?
Please.
Our counsel is being held up by a traffic accident.
On I-90. I went around it too. Yeah.
And so he's, the last word we got, he was on his way.
Do you know how many minutes away we are?
I have no clue.
Okay. It was, so for the record, so everybody knows, it was a fatality accident on 90 this morning.
So it couldn't.
I'm sorry, I was talking. It was a fatality accident this morning, so there is miles of delay on I-90. Yes, sir.
Okay, we don't have our cell phones, so we can't.
Very good. Why don't you step out with your cell phone and find out where your counsel is, please? Please.
It only delayed me 15 minutes. And it's cleared now. Oh, he's aware of it.
Counsel, your name again?
Dawn Gray for the legislative branch.
Okay,
Your Honor.
and your client is here, obviously,
Yes,
through you.
we are
Very
here.
good. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, let's just take a few moments. If this traffic jam was bad, and it was sad, so let's take a few moments to find out where their counsel is, and we'll proceed accordingly.
Are you guys still wanting to do the other complaint?
It's all acting on today. I think it's all acting on today. Shorter, yeah.
Oh, what,
It's all acting on today.
Yeah.
yeah, because I got 4 counts on that one too.
I think we should still do it.
Okay.
Probably meet up at the branch.
Well, the CEO hasn't confirmed it, you know that. Since we have that in one of our legislations.
Even
For part of the executive that's here, the attorney that's on his way, is he representing the whole executive? All parties that were served? Anybody know that answer?
Yes, he does.
He will be? He or she will be? Yes? Very good, thank you. And who is that attorney?
Ron Artis.
Thank you. Ms. Gray, you made I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
I'm sorry. You made notice of appearance through your pleadings, yes?
Yes, I did a statement of representation and paid the
Okay,
fee, so it would be like a yellow form like this.
all right. I'm sure it's in here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Apologize, I didn't file that.
I see it.
With the original complaint.
It's fine. You're in. Thank you.
Sorry.
How we doing, Mr. Bailiff, with our location of our attorney? Thank you.
Waiting on a callback.
Okay. All right. Rather than waste time with the record, let's go ahead and adjourn for 25 minutes. Is there any objection to that, council?
No objection, Your Honor.
I agree. Thank you. Let's adjourn for 25 minutes. So we're going to come back at 10:30, and hopefully the attorney will be there by that time, or we'll have an update by then. Thank you.
Are you using the courtroom now?
I'll be in here, Don.
Oh, no, I didn't know if they had.
Yeah, but 1 o'clock this morning? No, offhand, no. But, I don't think so. I think
Council, welcome.
Yeah, sorry, Judge, for being late.
No worries.
30-minute delay in the detour.
Yes, I did the same thing this morning.
Oh, did you?
I did. We're recording?
I apologize again anyway.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You're here so we can continue. Okay, council, before we get going and swear people in, I have a question for you. Whom do you represent? Do you represent everybody listed on the bottom of the caption, all defendants?
I am, Your Honor. I didn't know you were speaking to me, but I am representing all the defendants, including the executive branch, the executive committee, and the chairman,
And
as well as Davey.
John and Jane Joes 1 through 12.
Approach, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
I do represent Veronica Springfield, my
So-
sole client.
Your sole client is Veronica Springfield?
Yes.
So I step back from that. Is Veronica named defendant?
Yes.
Okay. I do not represent Veronica.
All right, this is the housekeeping portion. Counsel, you're going to be at the table today. Have you put in your statement of representation?
Yes,
sir?
and I have served opposing counsel.
Okay, so everybody has their statements in, right? All right, good. Okay, so we have all of the defendants represented in various degrees by you two, counsel.
Yes.
And then,
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm
Very good.
Steve Yapunsich, legal advocate.
thank you. And you represent legislative branch in its capacity. Okay.
Your Honor, and I have a motion to make at this time.
I haven't sworn anybody in yet. Let's swear some people in first, because that'll make me feel good.
Well, it just relates to the representation.
Okay, bring it on. Bring it on.
So, if I may, Your Honor, I do have a, objection to Mr. Arnes in representing the executive of the defendants in this matter. As he just mentioned, Mr. Arneson is the former legal counsel for the legislative branch. And specifically, with relation to that, representation, that, occurred under a separate case that is currently going at the moment. And that is under, litigation file CV 10-346. That's a separate litigation between the legislative and executive branches that has been there since around 2010. Mr. Arneson was the legal counsel for the legislative branch in arguing that matter. Mr. Arneson has not approached my clients to ask for their permission or any waiver to now represent against them in this matter.
Understood. What is the issue at hand in that case which you reference?
The issue at that is a dispute between both the executive and the legislative branches in regards to enumerated powers.
Constitutional question.
Right.
Mr. Arneson?
Your Honor, it's particularly important to understand that I approached the court today with a great deal of respect and honor, but that my appearance is special. And that my appearance on behalf of the executive branch and the defendants, with the absence of, is her first name Veronica? Veronica.
Springfield.
With the absence of them is essentially an appearance only with respect as it relates to appearance. And the argument is clearly the court lacks jurisdiction to proceed. If the court proceeds, we clearly, the executive branch and all the defendants, excluding Veronica, do not agree that the court has jurisdiction. And we do that for several reasons. I have filed a brief and memorandum on that issue, which I just completed an hour or so ago.
Mr. Arneson, you realize this has been scheduled for 10 days, something like that?
I was not officially appointed, Your Honor, until last night.
I'm not sure that I care, because your clients knew when this was
I
set.
understand that, Your Honor, but I am appearing and I am prepared to go forward, but
Ms. Gray?
only on the basis of.
Thank you. Ms. Gray?
In response to that, the question that was brought up in the former litigation, Mr. Arneson also argued a jurisdictional point as to whether this court has jurisdiction. So that kind of relates to this matter as well. Under the attorney rules, I do know that conflict of interest, if it does.
I understand that too. In the other case, I'm sorry to interrupt you. That's what I do. I apologize now to counsel. I interrupt. It's what I do. It's my prerogative. In that previous case, Mr. Arneson was in, and he was legislating, he was representing which side of the case?
The full legislative branch.
Okay, so he's representing where you are now,
Yes.
essentially arguing counter to your argument or whatever. Okay.
And if I may, Your Honor, I just wanted to relay on the rules of civil procedure that the defendant was required to answer in writing before the hearing. So we were waiting for a notice of representation and any.
As was I, Ms. Gray, and I think I just made that clear to Mr. Arneson.
In Your Honor, I did mail it 3 or 4 days ago, and I have documentation of that, but I don't have it with me. I did mail the notice of appearance, and I did write the check.
You have a receipt of that?
And I did mail it to you.
No receipt. My extremely talented clerks say they have no record of any of that.
All I can do, Your Honor, is upon further investigation by myself that I would provide the documentation.
I'm really interested in doing something today, counsel,
I understand, Your Honor, and I am too.
because
I'm prepared to go ahead, and in my opinion, it's exactly the same argument. I don't believe the court has jurisdiction of either branch.
that has been made clear to me.
Your Honor, I'm just concerned that any information that he's learned about my clients, any internal work product that he's learned, any secrets or attorney-client privilege that he's learned through the representation of the legislative branch, he can now use that against his former client.
Counsel, I'll even go, so this other case, this 2010 case is still active, yes?
Yes. And actually, we're in court again on the 25th.
Yeah, this is, it's not even that deep of a discussion, Ms. Gray. It's not even that deep of a discussion. Counsel?
Your Honor, I contend that I haven't been with the legislative branch and I don't have any information that's going to be conflicting in terms of the issue. I absolutely believe that I am not in conflict as it relates to representation.
Are you actively involved in this case Ms. Gray is referencing?
I was,
And
certainly.
was or is?
I was.
Are you-
I have not been involved for many years.
You have not been, when is the last time you were involved?
Your Honor, I can only guess, and it's at
Close
least
enough.
5 years.
5 years? And there's other counsel on that case now, Ms. Gray?
That's me, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Arneson is not, it's Arneson, correct?
Yes, honestly, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Arneson is not involved on either side of that case now?
No.
That's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. My interest here, counsel, and I'd rather that we come to a civil conclusion on this, is that we do something today because the legislative branch has filed a pretty heady brief, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? And the executive branch has been served, and they're represented here by two advocates. And Sir, give me your name.
Steve Yapunsich?
Yupunsich?
Yes.
If I slay that, I apologize and I'll get it right. It's very important I get names correct. Okay.
You're given permission to call me Steve if you wish.
I'm not going to, but thank you. It's very important that we do something today. Okay? Something. So, I'm inclined to deny your motion, allow you to proceed. I'm going to deny your motion that we don't have jurisdiction, because we do. And if you do not agree, you can do what you need to do. And then we continue with this matter. That's what I'm going to do. Okay.
Can I approach the court?
With
I'd
what?
just like to file the document, Your Honor. Give you a document, give one to Dawn.
Thank you.
That's an original, here's a copy.
Thank you. Give me 2 minutes. Please have a seat. Please have a seat.
He was talking.
Okay, I'm going to go through your document. Ms. Gregg, you had a chance to page it?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Arneson, I'm going to, right now, deny your motion for lack of subject jurisdiction of the subject matter, lack of jurisdiction over the person. I'm going to deny your insufficiency of process motion, and as well, your failure, motion for failure to state a claim of relief can't be granted. You're denied on all motions. If you wish to do something about that after this hearing, do as you do. But I'm denying your motions today, okay? Clear?
May I respond, Your Honor? With due respect, then, Your Honor, the executive branch will not participate in the hearing further.
We're going forward. Ms. Gray, present.
Your Honor,
Hang on, I got to swear people in.
sorry.
Everybody needs to be sworn, stand up. If you're going to provide evidence in this thing, stand up. Ms. Gray?
Sorry.
Counsel? Counsel, are you not going to participate, Mr. Arneson?
I'm not going to participate.
That's fine. That's your prerogative. That's your client's prerogative. Please swear them in.
Do you solemnly swear that you are about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
I do solemnly swear.
Thank you. Give me your name again. I'm sorry.
Mr. Yapunsich?
Yupunsich. Close enough, right? Are you going to give testimony on behalf of your client today, or participate on behalf of your client?
My client is going to give testimony.
That's what I meant. I apologize. You're going to participate on behalf of your client today?
Yes.
Very good. Ms. Gray, please.
Your Honor, Mr.
Yupunsich.
Zitch and I had a discussion outside of the courtroom, and upon his client's questioning of probably 2 questions, we are inclined to dismiss her as a defendant, and that will excuse Mr. Van Punzich with his client. So that was my request, if we can clear that out of the way.
Very good.
Your Honor, I'm Steve Yapunsich, legal advocate for Veronica Springfield. I have no problem with the court without making any,
I assume you agree with counsel's stipulation to dismiss your client from the case? Yes?
oh, yes.
Very good. Granted. You're excused. Or you can stay and participate, whatever you want to do. Your client is off the case.
Yes, Your Honor, she's had nothing to do with this. She's not involved.
Mr. Yupunsich, your client's gone.
Okay, thank you.
Got to be like one of those one-sided fights you pay a lot of money for on TV here because counsel's chosen not to participate. That is his client's right. Ms. Gray, we're going to do something today, so at least present your argument.
Your Honor, I have prepared an order of appearance for my client. So I'd like to just begin with calling my first witness, or if you would like, I can do an opening. Or if you think the brief was well enough, we can skip that and move right into witness testimony.
Thank you. What I would prefer to do for order here is I'd like you to set the case with a brief opening and then provide any brief testimony that you may think is necessary. I will tell you if I think it's necessary or not. Again, I have no problem telling you that, as you may see. And then let's just see how it goes with from there, okay?
So would you like me to come to the podium or is this?
As long as we're recording you, I care not. Can we get her from there? Yep, there's fine.
Podium?
Wherever you like.
Thank you, Your Honor. In reference to the case before this court today, the legislative branch, the plaintiffs in this matter, are seeking a preliminary injunction, declaratory relief. As you're aware, Your Honor, today what's in front of the court is the motion for preliminary injunction. The basis for that is set out in the grounds in the complaint as well as the preliminary injunction. And today I'm going to present Speaker of the House, Eric Burdenground, to provide information on the enumerated power, the specific enumerated power of the legislative branch. Secretary Gordon Reelbird Jr. to speak about the process of amendment. Former Secretary and current Senator Pat Alden Jr. to present on the conclusions of law and order from the Huber-Grable case. Senators Paul Hill, Tom Yellowtail to present on the actions of the defendants.
Counsel, let's pare it down to the necessary. If we get duplicative witnesses, then I don't need that.
So for Paul Hill, there is one conversation that he wanted to present. Tom Yellowtail wanted to present on an action that was taken in a meeting.
Very good. Let's get going.
Okay, so would you like me to present my first?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Your Honor, I'd like to call Speaker Eric Burdenground to the witness stand, Your Honor.
Mr. Speaker, you have been sworn.
May I approach the podium?
Yeah, that would be easier, I think.
Okay, Mr. Burdenground, if you could please state your name for the record again.
Eric Burdenground,
And what is your current title?
Speaker of the House.
And how long have you been a senator for the legislative branch?
I believe it's about 3 years and 7.5 months.
Okay. How long have you been the speaker?
Since January of 2017.
Okay. What is the governing authority for the legislative branch?
The 2001 Constitution, under Article 5, that governs, which governs the legislative branch.
Okay. Do you know what some of the enumerated powers are?
To create law, make law, and then to create law, to protect resources like such as land, mineral assets, and then provide limited waivers of sovereignty immunity, and then to approve the legislative or the executive branch budget, and then to approve or confirm appointed officers, and to charter instrumentalities.
So are you aware of why you're called to testify here today?
Yes, because of the 2000 or the 1948 Constitution, to restore the 1948 Constitution, and to remove the 2001 Constitution, and reopen the water settlement.
Are you aware of any committee that has been appointed to do so?
Yes.
Has the legislature been formally informed about this committee?
No.
Has the legislature confirmed any of these appointed officials?
No.
Okay. Getting back to the enumerated power on the budget, are you aware of any budgetary authority approved by the legislature during the last year that provides for funding for constitutional reform or reopening of the water settlement?
No.
What budget acts were recently passed?
I believe the second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. One quarter is usually 3 months, and this last quarter that we passed, it began January or July 1st to and ends September 30th.
And is that the current one we're in right now?
Yes, we are.
Okay. In review of any of those budget acts, did you see anything there that permits any activities for constitutional reform or reopening of the water settlement?
No, I didn't see any.
So, do you recall any items that, in relation to the water settlement that was passed?
Can you repeat that, please?
So was there any activity passed with relation to the water settlement?
Yes.
And can you elaborate on that?
For the funding for the 3 branches, and then we passed the JAR. Recently, we passed the JAR with 20 million energy or hydro energy development fund. First payment was to Sorgenson, amount of 830,000 under the hydroelectric power.
Who is Sorensen's?
Sorenson's is a firm, that engineering firm that's in charge of the architect of the engineering of the hydro dam, Afterbay.
And can you give the title of that dam again?
I believe it's the Afterbay Hydro Electric Dam.
Okay. For budgetary processes, well, actually, just to clarify, to be clear, the budget was approved to implement water settlement activities, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. How does a budget get approved? How is it proposed?
It's proposed by the executive branch, by CLB, then it's assigned to the finance committee. Then once the finance committee, they usually hold maybe 3 to 10 meetings, depending on the budget crisis or new administration.
How many times has the defendant not afraid appeared for budget meetings?
Twice.
Okay.
I believe second quarter and third quarter. Third quarter, I believe the finance chair had to talk to him, look for him, and then he came over that time.
During any of these times that he came to the legislative branch, has he ever visited or presented or proposed any issues about the legality of the 2001 Constitution?
No.
Has he ever approached the legislative branch and say, I don't think the water settlement was appropriate, can we reopen it?
No.
Have any of your constituents approached you on the legality of the 2001 Constitution or the water settlement?
No.
Has any of your colleagues in the legislature brought any of these concerns to you?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Does the executive have the power to make committees, in your estimation?
Committees for executive committees or?
Yes. Committees that would be permissible under the 2001 Constitution that the executive could form.
Yes.
Do those committees have to be confirmed by the legislature?
Usually they do, yes.
2 different answers. Do they, or is it customary that they are?
They are customary, they are.
Customary that
Yeah.
they are. Okay, very good. Thank you. Follow up?
Did you have anything to add to that?
No, thank you.
All right, I'm.
Are you done with this witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next witness.
And with the court's permission, I'd like to call Secretary Riobert to the stand.
Secretary, please come forward. I think I saw you stand and get sworn, correct? Very good. You are sworn.
Okay, please state your name for the record.
Gordon Wilbur Jr.,
And what is your title?
Secretary of the House, the legislative branch,
How long have you been a senator at the branch?
since January 2017.
Senator, sorry.
Since, let's see, 2009, I think.
2009?
Yeah.
Okay, and you've been secretary.
This is my second term as a Secretary of the House.
So are you familiar with the procedures of elections?
Yeah, I'm not a real professional at it, but I know the procedure, not really well, but I know the what goes about for any kind of election.
So can you tell the court here today what a constitutional amendment process is under the 2001 Constitution?
Well, for any kind of constitutional amendment, you need 2/3 of the voting of the Crow tribe, 2/3 signature, and then of that 2/3 signature, you need the
Well, let me back up.
yeah.
Threshold, sorry. What does it take to get an issue to the ballot, an amendment?
Like I said before, you need 2/3 of any. If you're going to go out and get signatures to change anything, you need 2/3 of the voting population of the tribe. And then to get it onto the ballot, you need the 2/3, and then the Secretary of the Executive House has to initiate that process. And then from there, you need 25% of the voting population to agree to actually vote, but you still need the 2/3. No less than 2/3. You have to have that signature to even get anything on a ballot.
So, under your observation of these elections, what kind of number for a petition would be required to bring this to the ballot?
Maybe.
Hang on.
Sorry,
You're asking for something very special
Yeah.
here. So do it again.
so how many, under your observation from these elections, how many eligible voters are there?
Just on my estimation, I could be wrong, but I say about 6,000 to 7,000 maybe voting age of 18, maybe today, maybe more. And then you would need 2/3 of that to even get a signed petition to maybe even amend the Constitution or even bring a referendum vote. And then not only that, you need the 2/3 to even have the election. But of that 2/3, you need about 25% of the people to vote, or even to make a change, you need 30% too. Also, in that people need to vote 30% of the voting age.
25 or 30%.
Well, there's two of them. If you bring let's say you have a referendum vote to bring, like, maybe amend the Constitution, you need 25%. But let's say you wanted to, you correct me if I'm wrong, Gray. But if you want to change the maybe the Constitution or something, I think you need 30%. So there's different avenues of how this election ordinance is written out. On the so it's really complicated. You need the majority of the tribe to agree, And then if I can state, in our capacity as the legislative branch, we can also go out and get 10% of signatures for each of the districts. For myself would be mighty few, which is why I can go and get 10% of names, and then I can actually move and possibly do the same process. That's what we do as a senator.
So going along those lines, you described a petition process that is brought by the people. The recent process you described for the 10%, is that another avenue that the elected can bring to place this on the ballot?
Yes, that's through the legislative branch. That's the senator, the Crow Tribal Legislative Branch authority to bring any legislative bill or any kind of amendments that we want. Our job is to, the law states that we just need 10% of the signatures in that voting district.
Can the executive do likewise?
The executive has to have 2/3 of the voting population.
Is that your question?
No. Sorry, Your Honor. So, but getting back to that procedure, once you collect that 10%, then in order for it to get to the ballot, don't you need the chairman also to sign off on that?
Yes, when it goes through the approval process through the legislative branch, once we approve, we get the majority vote, and both me as the secretary and the speaker signed, and it is given to the chairman of the executive branch, and then it's his. I think he has 30 days to sign that bill to whether to approve or disapprove on his end.
What happens in 30 days if there's no signature?
If there's no signature, then it's veto. Then there's a veto process, and then we have the authority to veto override. And if that doesn't, and if he doesn't go with that, then he has, the executive chairman has the authority to go to a referendum vote or take us to court.
So along those lines, and this is my last question, have you been presented with any legislation to use that avenue for an amendment?
No, I haven't.
And has any of your constituents brought up any issues on the water settlement or the 2001 Constitution?
No, they haven't.
I have no further questions of this witness.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, does the executive have the ability to make a committee?
They have the ability to make a committee, but as law provides, the legislative branch needs to confirm each committee member.
Is that customary or by law?
It's by law.
What is the power of an executive committee, in your opinion?
The executive committee
And executive committee?
and executive committee, they have the authority to, it just depends on what kind of boards or committees that they have. I honestly never dealt with the executive committee. I know that, I think that could be a 48. I don't know. I honestly don't know what a executive committee does. Maybe it's considered a 107th committee. I don't know. They're more advisors. That's all I know about it. But to make them more, give them more authority to advise or to run a board or to run a LLC, anything, they need to be confirmed so that they have the authority to possibly bring ask for amendments or even to change the law, stuff like that.
To ask the legislature to...
Yeah, to have an agreement between both branches, what is called a joint action resolution. That's as far as I know, yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Anything else, Council?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary.
Your Honor, I'd like to call Senator Pat Alden Jr.
Senator Alden? Senator, I think you were standing to get sworn in, correct? Just take a seat. You are sworn.
Please state your name for the record again.
Pat Alden Jr.
And what is your title?
Title is I represent the Bighorn District as a senator. Do you want me to expound on how long or?
Sure.
I'm actually serving my third term as a senator, and I was elected back in 2007 up until now. So I'm actually one of the senior senators involved in the legislative branch currently, and I've served under 4 chairmen. This is actually my 4th chairman I'm serving under. So just a little bit of background. I represent the Bighorn District out in Fort Smith area.
So are you familiar with this litigation with the executive branch?
Yes, I am.
Are you familiar with the issue that's being brought forward with regards to the 1948 Constitution and a 2001 Constitution?
Yes, I am.
Are you aware of the Gray Bull Huber case that has been brought before the court?
Yes, I am.
Can you give us a little information on how the court ruled there?
Yes, I can. I got paperwork here, and
Counsel, I've read the case,
Okay,
all right, and it's in the record. So
great.
you want to elucidate us in any other way, any details you may have that are outside of the case, because I can read the holding of the case, and I have.
Thank you. So with that, that would be some redundant information, Senator. If you, I've asked a couple questions of the previous senators. Have you received any information with regards to the issues with the 2001 Constitution, the water settlement?
No, just as you hear the hearsay and the actual movements, but actually no, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What, have you heard anything about the 2001 Constitution?
Yeah, I've heard.
What have you heard?
I mean, just on hearsay, and I've heard that they want to actually move back to the 48 Constitution, the executive committee,
Okay.
and are the defendants actually, and then they're pushed to move back to the 48 Constitution actually. So
Okay.
I mean that's the
What
reason.
about the water settlement? What have you heard about the water settlement?
Same thing. It was on the agenda on one of the
Same parties?
yes. So
Anything else?
let's see, what did I have? As far as like I said, the three branches of government that was established under the 2001 Constitution. I served, like I said, in 2007. I was elected, and one of the youngest ever elected, I say, because I wanted to change. There was an opportunity for us to start changing because we're moving out of the 48. So now we want to, there's an opportunity there for us. So that's why I ran for office, and I still serve in this capacity today. So that's why I just wanted to mention this 2001 Constitution is working, and there is growing pains. I understand, just like the U.S. Constitution. Hey, if there's a process there, if you want to amend it, there's a process that's in there that's written out. So that's what I like to state, that there's a process for constitutional amendments, and then there's a process for everything.
What do you think the motivation is, Senator, for the 48?
You know, I have no idea what the motivation is. Maybe it's power, greed.
What is the motivation behind upsetting the water settlement in 2010?
You know, that's another question. I have no idea what the motivation is, because that's a congressional act, and it's pretty hard to overturn a congressional act. And that money's already been allocated, and like I said, that was something that was hit the people for a referendum vote too. Also, so they got the majority of the people that spoke on that issue also. So.
Thank you, Senator. Counsel?
I have just one follow-up question with relation to Speaker Burdenground's testimony. He elaborated on the enumerated authority to approve budgets. Do you think that the executive committee can use any of that money to bring the issue of the 1948 Constitution, 2001 Constitution, or the water settlement?
No, I don't.
And why is that?
Because the executive committee was established, it was under the 48 Constitution, and just give a little background on that. The executive committee took place of the legislative under the old 48 Constitution, where they had representatives from each district, which now, once the 2001 came through, now we have representatives for each district that serve in their capacities. So, I mean, this was actually done away with once the Constitution came about. So, no, I don't believe once that was Constitution was passed, that authority.
In reference to that fourth quarter budget bill, were you aware of any budgetary authority allowed for this?
2016?
17, sorry,
17.
Your Honor.
No.
No. If the executive committee moved forward and appropriated or directed the chairman to spend money for this, would that be a violation of the legislature's enumerated authority for budgeting?
In your
Yes.
opinion?
Yes. Because it was not appropriated, or it was not even, I haven't even seen anything on that.
You don't think it's, in your opinion, rather?
Yeah.
In your opinion, you don't feel that the executive has scope within its authority to allocate funds as it sees fit within its powers, within its scope?
No.
Anything else, Council?
Not at this time. Do you have anything to add or follow up?
No.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
I'd like to call Senator Paul Hill to the stand.
Senator Hill, you in the House? Please approach. Senator Hill, I think I saw you get sworn. Yes. Please have a seat. It's good to see you, Senator.
Please state your name for the record
Paul J. Hill,
and your title.
Senator for Reno District.
And how long have you been a senator?
Same as Speaker of the House, Eric Burdenground, 3 years and 7.5 months.
And I want to get specific to your question here.
Your question, Council.
Sorry. For the issue regarding, you had a conversation with the defendant, Not Afraid?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you describe how that conversation took place and the date?
On July 13th, I came into the executive branch, or legislative branch,
2017?
on July 13th,
This year?
2017. I came into the legislative branch, and when I was sitting down, I got a text from Mr. Not Afraid. It said, yo, bro, and so I replied, I said, what's up? He said, you call, do you have a time for a call? It's like, all right. Anyway, we were in the middle of a meeting, so I didn't get to the call right away until we got done with that meeting. And I went into the legal office's room. I believe my phone at the time, or right now, my phone, the calling part doesn't work, and so I always have to put it on speaker. And so I went to the legal's office's room, and it was just me and him, and we talked about, I called him, and he goes, what's up? And I go, what do you know, what's going on? And he goes, I said, we're just waiting for you, rumors flying around that you're going to get rid of the legislative branch. And so, anyways, that happened, and when I was talking to him, my legal came in, and I dropped the phone, and I got it back, and didn't know what he was saying, but I could hear on the phone that he was saying that we were illegal. And so then I got on the phone, and I said, where are we illegal at? And he said, during the minutes of the Constitution, back when they passed it, the minutes is where you were illegal at. And so I kind of thought about it, and it's like, and so then I asked him, I said, you should invite us over so that we can listen to what you have to say. And he said no. And then I started asking him more questions. Anyway, he said he was going to meet me at Sheridan, tell me the whole details of what he was going to do. And then I never heard from him again.
During that phone call, did he bring up what he plans to do?
In that phone call, if I could recall, he brought out that we were illegal, and that there in a constitution, in 1948 constitution, there was committees in there, and that there was a legislative branch in there, and that he was going to grandfather us in.
Did he describe by what process?
He didn't say no process.
He said no process.
He didn't say no process.
Did you have anything to add or expound upon that?
That's all I got.
Okay, all right. And again, have you been approached by any constituents with regards to issues of the 2001 Constitution or the water settlement?
No, ma'am.
Two different questions, just for the record. Have you been approached by any constituents in regard to the 2001 Constitution?
No, ma'am.
What about the settlement?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
No further questions, Your Honor.
thank you. Thank you, Senator.
And I'd like to call Senator Tom Yellowtail to the stand.
Senator Yellowtail, you in here. Please approach. Senator, I think you were standing as well to be sworn, correct? I was. Please have a seat. Thank you.
Please state your name for the record.
Thomas M. Yellowtail.
And what is your title, sir?
I'm the Lodgegrass representative, senator from the legislative representative from Lodgegrass.
Okay, and how long have you been a senator?
6 months.
Are you aware of what this case is about?
Yeah, it was confusing at first, but yeah.
Okay.
What was confusing, sir?
Well, we never had any information from the chairman of what he was doing, and I went to a meeting that they had put on. The tribe does a biannual council meeting for the tribe to come in, and it's an informational meeting. And so I went to it, and I was the only senator there. And I listened to what they had to say. Most of them were speaking Crow, and I don't really speak that much Crow. My Crow isn't really as fluent as it should be, but anyway. When the chairman got up and spoke, he talked about there being a rumor going around that he was going to get rid of the legislative branch. And then he said, that's false. I'm going to utilize the legislative branch to help pass laws so that we can strengthen the tribe. And then later on in the meeting, this was just an informational one, so there was no voting, but there was on the agenda was the constitutional change and the water compact. And with all this time that he's been doing these meetings or whatever, he's never come to the legislative branch to explain what he's talking about. So in the confusion, we don't know what he's doing, and he's doing these meetings and stuff. And so anyway, at the end of his speech, he referred to the 7-day rule and I think that goes back to the 48 Constitution, saying that we have to have 7 days to have a council meeting and have a referendum vote on what he wants to do. And he was talking about the Constitution and the water settlement.
What is it that you felt the chairman wanted to do with the Constitution?
It sounds like he wants to change it back to the old 48. But see, that's where my confusion is. I don't know how he wants to do that and still utilize the legislative, because the legislative wasn't in the old Constitution. He referred to, I think it was when Clara Nomi, or at the end of Clara Nomi's administration, that she passed law that they were going to create a legislative branch. And I don't know how that works, but that's my confusion.
Very good.
But in the meeting, that's what transpired of.
So you read the complaint that we filed, right?
Yep.
And you're referring to one of the exhibits where it was the June 15th meeting? Mm-hmm. Is that the meeting you were at?
Yep.
I know there was two of them that we referenced, but it was the June.
It was the first one, yeah, the June 15th one.
July, actually, right?
Or July.
Is it July?
Yeah, it was before the Sundance.
Might be. Anyway, Your Honor, I just wanted to reference the court to that first meeting, and that's in the exhibit. So,
Thank you.
do you recall who was presiding over the meeting?
I couldn't really tell who the main people, I know it wasn't the chairman. Sargi Howe did a lot of talking. And it just, the MC was Tilton Oldbull. He seemed to be running the mic back to everybody else. So, but I couldn't really tell who the main people were.
And then you referenced the 7-day rule. Why was that brought up?
They talked about the 7-day rule. We're gonna go with the 7-day rule because we have to have that time to let the people know what's going on, and that's part of the Constitution, I guess, the 48.
To let them know about what's going on?
About the upcoming council. They said 7-day rule. They're gonna go by the 7-day rule, and then they set a council meeting in 2 weeks. And so the 7-day rule was so that they could let people know what was going on.
Okay. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no further direct witnesses for this case. If Your Honor permits, I am requesting to question a few of the defendants.
That's a tough call.
I do have all of my exhibits that were attached to the complaint, and as of 2 days ago, we were still getting evidence coming in. But since they decided not to participate, I don't have the opportunity of cross-examining them today.
That is correct, and this is a bit of a quandary, counsel. I will tell you that I'm discouraged that the executive branch is choosing not to participate in its own court. That is never a successful strategy. However, they are represented by counsel, and counsel has the wisdom to do what counsel thinks is best on behalf of counsel's client. So I am not going to allow you to question any of the defendants because they are represented, however they're represented. And I think there is enough to go forward. Essentially, they had an opportunity, counsel, and I'll make this very clear. They had an opportunity to go forward today. They knew this was set, they were served, and they had an opportunity to brief and to prepare. They chose not to. They chose to make a special appearance, and then they chose to abdicate in front of the judge. So I cannot allow you to question them because they are represented and they have made that clear. But I do believe I have enough to make a decision. I will not rule from the bench today. That will not happen today. But I will rule. I should have something, I think, by close of business Friday, I'm hoping. Don't hold me to that. It might be Monday, but I'm hoping for Friday. Okay. To the executive branch and their attorney, I will give you another chance to enter into this fray. I'll give you that chance right now. Counsel, thank you. You can return to your seat. I'll give you a chance to enter into your fray, or you can use advice of your counsel. If you want me to recess for a few minutes to discuss, so you can discuss it with your counsel, I will do that. Let me know.
Your Honor, we would request a delay of a few minutes for discussion.
I'm going to recess for 10 minutes. Okay? Time is, whatever the time is. What is the time? 11:26. How about we come back? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bailiff. Not my usual courtroom. I apologize. Let's come back at 11:35. 11:35. That is 10 minutes. Is that enough, counsel?
I would believe it is, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
requesting, they do have a request today, and I asked if they were represented by either of the council. They said no. They wanted to ask if we would agree to releasing them as defendants.
Are
and
these
I-
Jane Does?
Yes, and the two individuals are here in the court.
Please come to the table. Then we'll handle the executive's business in a moment. Please be seated. Your name, ma'am?
Jessica Old Elk.
Okay, your name, ma'am?
Vandy Boyer.
Okay, counsel?
Yes, upon review of whether they were represented or not, both of the named defendants here came and approached me, asked that they be released from this case because they have no part in the activities of the defendants. Mrs. Old Elk was appointed on the committee but made the decision to recuse herself from that, and she wants no part in it, as well as Mrs. Boyer. I have no problem with that, and I think that's appropriate to dismiss them.
Ms. Oldell. Right. You were on the committee?
Yes, I was asked to come to a meeting on July 12th. I went to that meeting. When I sat at the table, I was appointed to be their secretary to take notes of the meeting. At that point, I didn't know what the meeting would consist of, so I stayed, I took their minutes.
Who's they?
I guess the board they put together, executive board.
Okay.
After that, I turned in a draft copy of the minutes that I took for that meeting, and then I respectively asked them to be removed from the committee.
Very good. Ms. Boyer?
Yes. I was never involved in the said committee, the executive committee. I was not involved in any way.
Were you involved in any part of this lawsuit?
No.
Okay. You are stricken from the suit. You're dismissed from the suit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
And Your Honor, I have one more request.
Yes.
Before we proceed. One of my clients, Mr. Frank Whiteclay, wanted to provide information to the court on 2 pieces of information.
Bring him forward.
He would be my last, Your Honor, and I
Very good.
apologize for that. So I'd like to call.
That's fine. We're here.
Whiteclay to the stand.
Let's swear you again. Okay. Please swear him, because I'm not sure if you were sworn before or not.
I was.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please take a seat.
Will you please state your name for the record
Frank Whiteclay.
and your title, please?
I'm senator for Black Lodge District.
Okay. Are you aware of this lawsuit?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of a meeting coming up of the defendants?
Yes.
How were you informed of that meeting?
Through Facebook on a news. It came in on my news feed on Facebook, and I believe we have an exhibit for it.
Okay, so I do have the Facebook post, Your Honor, and if I may approach.
You have copies?
No, I just was.
Go ahead and verify that's what it is.
Yes. This is a
Describe it, yes, please.
This is a Facebook post from Oliver Half that came in through my news feed, and it pertained to the case, and I made a copy of it and presented it.
Show it to council, please. And then if we'll take your only copy, I guess. We'll make copies for you. Okay. Council, I'm gonna need that back.
Your Honor, I'm not participating, so thank you respectfully for allowing me
Council,
to see.
hey, council. You are participating in that you have joined the case as representative of the executive. You may not participate in this hearing because you've chosen not to. You're in the case. So it's my duty to make sure you see the evidence as presented. I'm doing that. I don't need to hear anything else. Understood?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll mark this as, I don't know what number we're at, 7 or 8. So this is marked at 10.
Sure.
We'll just mark it at 10. we'll catch up if there's going to be a gap there. We'll just, yeah. You understand what I'm saying in the exhibits? There's going to be a gap, so we'll just say there. Okay. Thank you. Do you need this?
Sure.
And if it may please the court, I would just ask the witness to read the statement.
Okay. Next step, August 12th, 2017, district ballot voting on 2 items, Constitution and water rights settlement. Resolutions will be handed out to districts prior to vote. Your rights are given back to you. What do you want to do? You decide your future for your children, for your grandchildren. God bless the Psahlugad council members, one and all.
And again, for the record, whose post was that?
That was from Oliver Half.
Did you receive a second piece of information with regards to the committee?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor? I do have that documentation.
Verify it and then show it to council. Council, you will look at it. I don't need to hear anything else if you don't want to participate. And then we'll do the same thing, okay?
Yes.
Can you please tell the court what it is and how you received it?
Okay. Yeah, this was again on a news feed from my Facebook. And it was from Peggy White, well-known Buffalo, to Allie Bird Hat and it came through my news feed concerning the case, and that's why I saved it.
Please show it to council. We'll mark it as 11. I assume you have no objection, council. If you do, please make it. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
All right, so Your Honor, for the permission of the court, I'll just have the witness read the highlighted portion as that's the relevance to this matter.
Very good.
Okay. For everyone's information, I was asked and paid to serve on the executive committee for Reno because 100 people signed a petition to look into Constitution matter. I did it for the people because according to my information, the 2001 Constitution was never ratified by secret ballot by the people as it should have been. I am proud of the chairman for listening to the people and setting up this committee. I'm proud of the Crow people for questioning things. This is your government and your homeland. It is yours and no one else's. The Constitution we recognize is very important. Basically, the 1948 gives every Crow a vote to pass laws and puts the power in the hands of the people. The 2001 Constitution gives the power to make laws to a legislator that we elect. Is the legislator system working for us? Every Crow needs to cast a vote to decide on these important things, so be sure to come to the Saturday council meetings and voice your opinion and vote on the issues that are important to our future.
Mr. Whiteclay, do you have anything to add to those two, in relation to those two exhibits presented?
Yes, what I'm seeing is that a committee was formed and was paid by the executive branch when there is no appropriations in the quarter budgets for that, and that in 8 months there hasn't been one confirmation through the executive branch to the legislator, which is customary.
Is it customary? I'm sorry. Is it customary or law?
In certain newer committees, it is by law. For example, we had a jar come through for a Crow Nation construction, which in that it was by law that a committee should be confirmed.
Very good.
And is that in your exhibit, just to clarify, that was in relation to the August 12th meeting coming up?
Yes, it was in relation to the August 12th meeting.
Anything further?
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, let's hear from Mr. Arnson. We took a brief recess on your behalf. If you would do me the kind favor of approaching a microphone and tell me what your client has decided.
Your Honor, with due respect, I will respond as indicated. Our position is, as I described, we clearly believe that the court does not have jurisdiction to proceed. We have a great deal of respect for this court. However, as to the issue of a lawsuit against the chairman, we believe sovereign immunity and other failures on the part of the plaintiff do not confer that kind of jurisdiction on the court. That's our position.
Thank you, counsel. Stay there for a second, please. Oh, you did argue sovereign immunity. There you go. Page 3. Gotcha. Thank you, counsel.
Thank you. Am I excused, Your Honor?
Well, I'm going to dismiss the case for in a moment. Won't you stay and humor me for a couple minutes?
Okay.
All right. As I said before last recess, this is a very serious issue, and it's not lost on the court how serious this issue is, an issue of constitutional importance by its face, on its face. I will have a decision, hopefully by Friday. I don't want to overpromise. Monday at the latest, okay? It will be delivered to my clerk for distribution to all the parties. Councilor Gray, if you can get to the clerks all the addresses and good contact information for the defendants that are left in this case, I would request you do that, please. Okay? This argument, everyone, is not unique to Crow. It is common throughout our Indian country reservations and territories. What is not common is that there's a court of law in which to resolve these issues. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That the executive has chosen to sit on its motion, which has been denied, is the executive's privilege. This court will go forward one way or another. I thank you all for coming. We're done.
I have to keep in order here.